Howdy and welcome to Roughly. Today's story is called The Letter Never Sent. If you like to keep a pen or a piece of paper nearby, you might find something worth holding on to. Now settle in. It begins like this. The old wooden post office stood at the end of Willow Creek's Main Street. Every morning the same bell above the door rang. People came in carrying questions, and they left carrying answers. Sometimes good news, sometimes bad news. Sometimes words they had waited weeks to receive. But there was one letter in that post office that never left. It sat inside the bottom drawer of Elias Carter's desk. The paper had started to turn yellow. The ink was not as dark as it once was. The envelope had no stamp, no date, only one name written on the front, Clara Bennett. Every evening before closing, Elias opened the drawer. He looked at the letter, and every evening he placed it back. 3 days later, Frank came into the post office just before sunset. He had stopped by to collect a package of supplies for the farm. Elias was already putting away the papers. "Long day?" Frank asked. Elias smiled. "Most days are." Frank looked around the quiet room. Thousands of letters had passed through that little building. Thousands of people had trusted those walls with their words. Frank noticed the drawer. Not because it was special, because Elias looked at it before closing it. "Something waiting in there?" Frank asked. Elias looked away. "Maybe." Frank nodded. Funny thing about maybe. Elias looked at him. Sometimes a maybe can stay around longer than most things do. That was all Frank said. Elias Carter was good at his job. He knew every person in town. He knew which letters came from sons working far away, which ones came from husbands promising to return, which one carried news people had been praying for. He knew how much courage it sometimes took to put words on papers, because a letter meant something. It meant, "I want you to know." But Elias had spent years hiding the one thing he wanted Clara to know. Clara Bennett came into the post office every Friday. She collected letters from her brother in Missouri. She always smiled when she entered, always asked Elias how his week had been. And Elias always found something small to say, a little comment about the weather, a joke about the town, a question about the garden. Never the words that mattered, never the words sitting inside the drawer. After Frank's visit, something slowly changed. Not all at once. Elias did not suddenly become brave. He simply stopped running away from small moments. He talked longer. He listened more. He allowed himself to be seen. One afternoon, Clara smiled. "You seem differently lately." Elias looked at the letters on the desk. "Maybe I got tired of waiting." "For what?" He looked up. "I don't know anymore." The next Friday, Clara did not come. Neither did she come the week after. Elias noticed. But he told himself she was busy. Until one afternoon, an old customer walked into the post office. "Sad about Clara leaving?" Elias froze. "Leaving?" The man looked surprised. "You didn't hear?" Elias shook his head. "Her uncle found their position in St. Louis. Better pay, bigger city. When did she go?" The man looked toward the window. 3 days ago." That evening, Elias opened the drawer. The letter was still there. For years, he had been afraid of a simple answer from her. Yes, no, anything. He thought about all the days he had been spent waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right words, waiting for fear to disappear. And he finally understood fear rarely leaves before we move. The next morning, Elias walked to the station, not because he thought he could change the past. When he reached the station, today's train was already gone. Only a thin line of smoke remained above tracks. The sound had disappeared. The people were gone. And in his hand was the letter, still unopened by anyone. For a long time, Elias stood there. He sat on the old wooden bench, and for the first time he was not angry at Clara. He was not angry at time. He was only honest with himself. For a while, Elias believed he had more time. That was the dangerous thing about waiting. It always feels like there will be another day, another chance, another moment, until one day there isn't. Months later, Frank passed through town. He saw Elias outside the post office. He was laughing. Standing beside him was a woman Frank had never seen before. They were carrying a small box together, preparing for a picnic outside of town. Frank did not stop. He only smiled because he understood Elias had not found the ending he imagined. He had found something else, the courage to finally speak. Some words are never said because we don't know where they should go. Others are never said because we are afraid of what will come back. But a life built around unsaid words can become a very quiet place. What are your thoughts on these stories? Leave them in the comments below. And if you'd like to hear more stories from Frank, step a little closer to the fire. Like, share and subscribe.